G'day, welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I want to do a video on length of pull, or the length of the buttstock. What it's actually talking about, length of pull, is the length from the buttstock to the trigger pull. And how to basically work that out is, in the old classic way of doing it, is from the inside elbow joint to where you want the trigger. It's really talking about the first joint or second joint. If you look on this one here, of your finger that is, if you look at my hand on here, you'll see that's where the trigger is, and really to get comfort, I'm pulling my hand back a little bit. If I pull this back here to about there, do the same thing, go in here so that my finger goes straight on the trigger. That is the classic way to do length of pull. Me, being 6'4", it's a bit longer than the average rifle or the shorter rifle, which is what these set up to be. So that all works perfectly like that. You'll also notice in that same length of pull that the bolt is down in the same place, and really you don't use it like that obviously, but that ends up with roughly the right distance for length of pull. And I'd say in the classic or the basic answer, there's your answer. In the real answer, or with some nuance to it, you have a fair bit more involved with that. First off, in the simple length of pull and where your form is for pulling the trigger, which is just one part of this, a conversation actually, then your actual shooting form and the style of shooting you're doing. So whether that's shooting prone, or it's shooting from a bench, or it's shooting from a bipod, or it's shooting offhand, or it's shooting from a raised platform in a prone position, to all those different things can change exactly what is more comfortable for you. And in most cases, that'll move from first joint to second joint, even down to your knuckles, can move that around for the different shooting forms, and you want to find a nice average with it. I tend to find that that's not much of a deal. Your arm being in a slightly different position for actual shooting form isn't a huge deal. What can be a huge deal is operating the bolt. So simple enough in something that's been lifted and you're putting it down, it's nice and gentle and you can do it with your fingertips and easy. Of course, that's not really doing that. If you pull the trigger, then you now have got to reset the trigger spring. So now you've got to get the firing pin spring. So now you've got to actually work against that cam, and it takes more strength. The moment you've got a little bit of tight brass in there, not without being overloaded, but a little bit of tension on it, you've got to tighten a bolt. If you're out to where you're at the maximum level where you're comfortable, you need more strength, all of a sudden you've got to grip the bolt more, you're lifting your elbow off the ground, you don't have that, whatever reason you've got to get there, you don't have as much strength out of long arm as you do in closer, where you can use more of your muscles more efficiently. So in some cases, the bolt might mean, the actual action of the bolt might mean you end up where you're then setting up at your knuckles so you can have more strength on operating the bolt and being smooth between rounds. That's very much a physical strength thing than it is the skeleton size, which is what sets the trigger position. This is much more a muscle thing and how you operate the bolt and what your rifle is like. And that can be a short throw bolt or a long throw bolt, so a 90 degree versus a 60 degree, that can be with an extended bolt handle. There's other ways to fix this problem, but it's something that should be considered in length of pull when you're actually selecting a rifle and trying to work it out. The next thing, and this is the three things that are really involved, is your eye relief. So where you set up your scope. Now that may sound simple. In the way of setting up your eye relief is simple enough. You're getting down onto your rifle, you're putting your face down the rifle, getting the scope to where you get a full, nice clear picture through the lens there. That all works. Right cheek riser, that sort of stuff, and that's all nice and simple. But it isn't actually that simple in some cases. Lots of different scopes out there, different eye relief, different eye boxes, so how flexible they are, that sort of stuff, but also the way they mount up around their rings. In some cases, you end up with the scope is all at the back here, and really getting them forward is really hard. In other cases, it's the other way. Trying to get them back close enough to you is really hard because of what your length of pull is. So in actual fact, in setting up your length of pull, making sure that you're working with your scope and the setup you've got there, whether that's the rings you've got or you've got to get them or whatever it is, but making sure that you get that on really can affect your length of pull. Because if that's a real problem, you might be changing this and dealing with that, because this is the thing you have to deal with. Ideally, you get everything perfect, everything works nice and straightforward, but it all is encompassed in doing your length of pull and setting it up. And I suppose the bit I'd end on, in length of pull, Listen, you can deal with all sorts of stuff. Stronger, you know, I can deal with it. Shorter, I can deal with a little bit of squinching up to get the eye relief. I can deal with shooting on another rifle. But if you want real accuracy, it comes out of comfort. It comes out of making it fit you properly so that it works for you properly. So length of pull is a valuable thing to, well, understand properly so you can set it up properly. Anyway, guys, that's that one there. Leave all your comments and questions below. Thank you very much for checking in, and we'll catch you next time.